privilege of moderating this panel on AI and blockchain convergence. Now, those are two very heavy-duty buzzwords, and so, we have fantastic founders here to help us cut through the noise and understand how to build, leveraging these two frontier technologies, real-world applications that can actually tackle these issues. And so, without further ado, I want to greet Jan from OpenMind and Sean from Sahara AI, two Pantera portfolio company founders. And maybe before deep diving into some of the specific questions, we'll have a quick intro for you guys, and then maybe a little bit about what you guys are building.
Sure. Great to be here. I started life as a physics professor at UC Berkeley, spent a little bit of time with Facebook, and then ended up at Stanford. At Stanford, I'm in the School of Medicine and School of Engineering. And I've been in love with robots since I was a little kid. And just like everyone here, I've seen the movies, I've read the books, I've daydreamed about a world where we're surrounded by thinking machines. And from my perspective as an engineering professor, this is the year where it happened. I was just at a faculty senate meeting at the Stanford School of Medicine, and the speaker told us about the fact that across 21 medical subspecialties, the best performance was obtained by computers alone. And the point of these internal comparisons was to look at computer plus human. And the dean was told that in 21 medical subspecialties, computer alone outperformed human or combinations of machine and human. So for me, that's a very special moment. And the technology is advancing so quickly that OpenMind will have quadruped dogs in homes in the San Francisco Bay Area that help children learn math, that help to take care of old people, and perform a variety of other tasks in homes. All of those capabilities are based on the fact that large language models generally speak fluent robotics, and that brings with it a large number of interesting opportunities.
Awesome. Sean?
Hey, everyone. I'm Sean Ren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sahara AI. Also a tenure faculty at USC Computer Science. I've been working on AI for over 15 years, and I think really the trigger point for me to enter the sort of intersection of crypto and AI is the fact that I started realizing that with this whole family of GPT models coming up, we start seeing a entirely new class of AI, like digital assets, which we call this like digital AI assets, like data sets, models, agents that really carries a lot of like real-world economic values. But then this lack of a governance infrastructure for us to specify the ownership and the sort of the trace of the contribution or attributions of this development process of this AI access. And we believe that blockchain provides this missing layer for us to really like create on-chain ownership, on-chain attribution. And therefore, we started Sahara AI with the goal in mind that we're trying to build this full stack blockchain platform that can really help everyone to create, contribute to, and monetize their AI developments, and going towards this AI-driven future where all these AI autonomous systems are owned by every single contributor that add values to this AI, not just the centralized player who control the retail distributions gateways or revenue gateways of these AI assets.
Awesome, yeah. And then maybe to dive deeper within each of your guys' companies, Jan, how do you see the role of blockchain play for autonomous robotic systems, compared to the traditional robotic systems that exist?
Well, how many hours do you have? So keeping this super brief, I live in Los Altos, and I was walking down Main Street in Los Altos with 3 of my autonomous quadruped dogs. And old people were there. It was afternoon on a Sunday. Little kids were there. This was outside of the bookstore. The little kids were running, and they wanted to hug the robots and talk to them and play with them. And the parents looked at me like a little bit odd, and they were clearly concerned. And the question they had was, like, is this a normal thing to be doing? Is my child safe? Like, what's happening here? And then someone from the street came up to me and said, hey, like, what are the laws for these machines? And then, like, panic broke out, and I said, oh, Asimov's 3 laws, of course. And then don't laugh. That's really the best we have. So if you have strong opinions on what the Constitution should be, now's the time. But, and then I realized, like, walking down the street that, you know, maybe, like, how does anyone know I'm not a liar? I could be lying. And so then what we did, like, the next day is we wrote Asimov's laws onto Ethereum, and then we published the ERC 777 token standard for human-machine governance. And so now when people ask me, as we're deploying a humanoid quadruped into people's homes, now when they ask me, hey, Jan, what's the Constitution here? What are the rules? I say, well, you don't have to trust me. Go look on Ethereum. We just wrote them there. And when our humanoids boot in the morning, that's where they get the rules. So that's like a first stab. But there's so much more to unpack this. For me, as someone who's cared about like decentralized systems and autonomous machines for a while, like this is the single most fascinating moment ever because we're seeing machines wake up, and that has myriad ramifications for payments, insurance, governance, and all the other things that also Sahara and clearly Pantera care about.
Awesome, yeah. And Sean, how does Sahara specifically see blockchain evolve the AI systems, whether it be on transparency, incentives, ownership? I know you touched upon. Curious, like, what have you seen as while building Sahara?
Yeah, I mean, I think the keywords for Sahara AI is really attributions and provenance, and I can break this down a little bit more, right? I mean, a concrete example is really like start motivating us to do this whole problem space is that when we was looking at ChatGPT, right, these like models or app everyone knows, the reason why they become so powerful and it's continuously become even more powerful over time is attributed to the fact that every one of you been using this app and been like uploading your PDFs when you're asking questions about your financial situations, your spreadsheets, or even like uploading your chat history, some of your emails to just help them, just let them help you to do a better summary of your current sort of status quo, right? And I think all this data carries the intelligence or the know-hows of every single individual domain experts, and the fact that this AI model can accumulate all these resources and be able to learn from them to improve themselves over time is the fact that why we are seeing a very promising AI-driven future. But then we overlook the fact that every one of us add values to the AI power, but we don't get the equally compensated sort of rewards from these owners of the AI model. In this case, we are not the owner of these AI models. In fact, these big players like OpenAI, Meta, Google, they own this model. They can use that ownership to dominate the whole landscape of how much I should be paying for the data contributor who are hired by companies like Scale AI, for example, and how much I should be paying for the GPU providers, all these data centers, and how much I'd be giving out equities and salaries to these AI talents, which come from schools like Stanford and USC, right? So the best way for, if you think
Berkeley
about it,
too.
Berkeley,
Berkeley,
yes,
Berkeley.
absolutely.
Go Berkeley.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Berkeley as well. So, I mean, if you think about today, the best way for the best graduates in major in AI or computer science or these like tech companies to monetize themselves about their AI knowledge is to actually work for these companies, get their salary plus the equities of the company, which carries all of the upsides of the AI economics, right? There's no an open marketplace for them to publish their products and sell it to other places. So I think all these sort of suboptimal situations that we observe really like triggers us, like me and my co-founder Tyler sitting under there. We've been talking about, hey, seems like there's a lack of this like governance infrastructure, economic infrastructure for attributing every individual's contributions in the whole life cycle of AI development, right? How an agent is produced by composing a bunch of models and data sets from you and me, and using compute powers from this data center and using the recipe of the model from that developers, right? Every one of them have done some contributions in this process. They are supposed to be an energy to trace all these records of contribution. And we can even think about putting this whole trace of contributions on blockchain so it becomes transparent, auditable, and erasable, right? So I think this whole kind of possibility is out there, but no one actually start implementing any solutions about that, not even in a centralized way. So basically, Sahara AI is trying to do two things in this whole problem space. Number one, we're trying to create this blockchain protocol that allows people to do on-chain registration of the ownership of what they have been produced and contribute to. And we can also use this on-chain ownership to trace the contribution of all these different players, model developers, compute providers, dataset contributors, in the whole life cycle of creating an AI agents, which then can be monetized through any application gateways. And we have these protocols, and we are working towards open source these whole protocols. But then the most important thing is where does the user distribution come from, right? So we do another thing on top of this protocol, which is to build a one-stop shop platform that allows these AI developers, let it be Web3 developers or Web2 AI developers, to come in to create this AI access, data sets, models, agents that are on top of this protocol. So while you are doing the frictionless creation of this AI model, just like any people who works in Google, OpenAI, and Meta, underlying all these protocols been tracing the contributions and push those records on blockchain. So you can use this trace later on to monetize, to create economic alternative models, like you can do revenue sharing autonomously with the trace of the contribution. Every single dollar paid to the agent, now there's 50 cents going to this data contributor, the remaining of them going to the model developer, and so on and so forth. So I think we're really trying to provide the protocol, the one-stop shop development platform, and alternative economic models for these whole AI landscapes.
Yeah. I mean, very fascinating and obviously very complicated. So I'm curious from both of your guys' side, what are like the unique bottlenecks? I know, Jan, you said like this is the year of robotics. So I'm curious, well, at least the year that it struck you that robotics is here to stay. And so now, I'm curious, like, are there any bottlenecks that need to kind of be broken down even further now? Or for you, what are the things that you think like the society need to adapt basically for, kind of OpenMind to kind of become the mainstream?
Let's see. One of the most fascinating conversations I had with a bunch of computers was with deep research. And I asked deep research to help me understand what the economy will look like. And the problem statement was, imagine there is what amounts to an explosion. And the explosion is where humans are suddenly surrounded by machines that speak 200 languages, that win the Math Olympics, that are good lawyers, that make you laugh and cry, that can navigate your home. And then I asked deep research, okay, so what does it actually mean for the economy? Right? This is a really unusual moment in technology. Certainly this is not version 2 of this is version 1 of this. And the thing deep research told me was, machines do not want power. We seek efficiency. And I was looking at my computer screen thinking, machines do not seek power, we seek efficiency. And then I thought, well, what does that mean? Like, what are the practical ramifications of that? And then I thought, you know what? If I flew over the Earth and looked at how we've organized our economy, it would be truly bizarre. For example, there's a straight line that has length of 1,260 miles that separates the North American continent into America and Canada. And if I'm flying over the Earth and how our economy is organized, that must be truly bizarre and certainly not very efficient. And so through that series of conversations at OpenMind, we've developed convictions or hypotheses around what our economy might look like in the next few years. And part of what we're building into our operating system for thinking machines relates to interactions and economic transactions that we foresee. So for example, as part of the operating system we provide for humanoids, we have built in Coinbase's wallet, we built in their X42 micropayment system, and we're starting to bake things into the operating system that allows machines to wake up, that allow them to identify themselves, economically transact with others. The experiment we're doing with a humanoid that goes into supermarkets to put things in carts, and you can imagine what this is for. Of course, the humanoid, when it's done putting things in the cart, then needs to coordinate with a Waymo, for example, to, of course, get the groceries home to your front door. And that's just one example of an opportunity where now heterogeneous systems of machines need to coordinate. Of course, Iris the humanoid is not going to whip out her phone and call Waymo. Presumably there are better ways of doing this. And so the way we think about this internally is we are seeing the birth of an entire new parallel economy. And that new parallel economy may not be trying to optimize, trade balances with China. It may have its own goals, and one of those goals almost certainly is efficiency. Like imagine an economy formed by machines that is incentivizing all machines to improve the efficiency of that economy. And of course, that's a sort of medium, long-term thing. Elon is on record as agreeing with 1 billion humanoids by 2040. We can argue about exactly when that will happen. Almost certainly, they will be highly capable. They're going to learn quickly. They're going to use their own economy. But they will have to interact with our economies. And that gets us into the territory of sort of the role of stablecoins in this transition as we see the birth of a machine economy, which is, among other reasons, we're working with Tether and Circle and things like that. We're kind of a weird company because what we're doing right now is super practical and tangible. We work with people like Samsung, LG, NVIDIA, and others to write software for robots. And we sell robots, and we try to get at particular verticals. But of course, in parallel, we spend most of our time building out the infrastructure that these machines need for coordination, payments, and other things.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then Sean, same question with a different flavor here. You guys are kind of creating this new AI economy, and you're going against behemoths, that raise hundreds of billions of dollars, all, OpenAI, et cetera. I'm curious how you see the unique bottlenecks. Is it really like convincing the model developers to trust Sahara AI to be that one-stop shop? Is it to align the incentives of the people who are labeling data? I'm curious, how you've seen the economy grow already on your Sahara AI platform, and what do you see as the main catalyst for you guys to kind of grow even further?
We have been in a pretty interesting journey, right? We start our go-to-market with this, what we call data labeling business. For some of you's context, AI needs food, right? So data labeling is basically the kitchen for cooking good food for the AI to learn, to grow better. And there's Scale AI, a representative one, making 400 million ARR in the past 1 year, and now acquire 50% by Meta because they can cook the best food for AI in the whole industry. So we start with that because we think it's a very interesting business, given that on one side of the business is a huge online gig worker space, like hundreds of millions of people spending maybe a couple hours a day working online for things they are interested in, also they are good at. And then on the other side are these AI industry, which like what Nihal said, raise hundreds of millions of dollars that really dying for good data sets for training the models so that they can be the best player in the world, including OpenAI, Google, and Meta. Now, the funny thing about this business is that the existing situation is they are doing very managed services where they Scale AI hire people sitting in offices, hundreds of thousands of these people from different continents and countries, and they work on tasks that are very well trained, and they are less flexible to quickly switch to emerging new tasks, and they're also not able to deal with very small, tiny bits of tasks because they need big contract so that they can holistically plan things and work on that for a couple months, right? We see the huge gap of there's small, medium business, small, medium AI business startups that dying for data sets. They can't afford it, or they can't work with big companies like Scale AI, and they are looking for good solutions, getting high-quality data sets, just like what Scale AI can produce. And so we're trying to capture that space on the demand side, but on the supply side, we see huge opportunity of using crypto as both the payment rails, right? It's very flexible, it's cross-border, it's much faster than banking system to pay for people in Africa, in Asia, right? And many other places. So, and then also crypto provided additional incentives on top of the fiat-based payment for the salaries, the hourly rates people receive. So we basically applies both of these to attract a supplier network of 300,000 of people over the globe, just within the first few months. And then we work on data sets for big local companies like Microsoft, Amazon's, Pika Labs, Character AI, many other, over 40 of them. And that's what we achieved in the first 6 months. And we feel very encouraged because we find, oh, this is the first proof of concept of the convergence of AI and crypto, where data sets become the new class of digital assets, right? Among other things like models and agents. And we see creating these data sets can be much better incentivized and motivated with crypto as both the payment rails and also incentives. And down the road, you can also create protocols, like I said, that better trace the contributions, the share, the co-ownerships of these data sets. So we go down that route, we expand that to models, we expand that to agents, we start creating developer platform as a one-stop shop for people to creating these agents. And we also create a marketplace that become the very first decentralized AI marketplace that allows people to monetize their AI assets and even tokenize those AI assets down the road. You'll be able to launch a token representing the sort of the share of your agents, and you can iterate your agents with the fund that you raise through that tokens, and you can even just bring in more resource to make that agents better. It's a flying wheel that really bootstrap a good AI access down the road.
Awesome. Well, I feel like we could do this panel for like 30 more minutes, but unfortunately, I think we're out of time. So thank you so much, Jan and Sean, for joining us today, and we'll be handing it over to Mason.
Thank you, Nihal, and thank you to all the LPs for making it possible for Nihal to cut checks into amazing companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Nihal. Yeah.